Hi, my name is Nabil Akbar. I am a software developer from Lahore, Pakistan. I am currently studying at Microverse. Microverse is an online software development school. I am in the second module and fifth week of the second module right now, and I am doing the video assessment for our final capstone group project. The goal of the project is to create a web app where users can interact with the website. They can, let's say, click on the like button and the likes should display. They should be able to like the content, and also they should be able to use the comment section to add comments of their own onto the website. Idea is to create the web app using APIs, retrieve data from there. We decided to build a movie app where people can come and watch movies and also like them if they want to, and also go to the comment section and comment about it, and also find more detail about it over here. And also clicking here, they can go and find more information about the movies as well. And also they can also filter out movies from here on the homepage. This is the interface of our website. And as you can see, the first is the header section where we have a logo on the left side. And on the right side, we have these nav links. And the first link is movies, where you can see that it also counts the movies that are present on the homepage. Secondly, we have this filter section where you can filter out the videos in the movies, all the movie cards that are available over here. By default, we have 12 cards displaying here, but we can filter that out. Let's say we write 2 and 7. So if we click on there, so with the slice method, it basically slices them and only 5 are now displaying. So 5 movie cards are now displaying. So you can use the filter section to filter out the movies, and also you can click on the movie link to go to the default, which is 12 movies displayed on the homepage. Okay, and we can like the videos if we want to over here, and we can also click on the comment section and we can see more details about the video on this pop-up screen, and also we can add comments over here. This is our GitHub repo. We decided to use my GitHub profile, GitHub, to create this repository. The name of the repository is Group Capestone, and this is how it looks. These are all the folders and files that we have. We have installed Webpack, we have README file, we have installed the linters, and this is the distribution folder, and also this is the source file, a source folder where you have all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. Okay. After that, the last part of this first interview section is describe your team and tell us which GitHub profiles is yours. Okay. So this is my GitHub profile, and my Studios Nabil is my GitHub handle name, and I'm a passionate front-end developer from Pakistan, and this is how it looks. And I have also pinned my best projects over here, so you can go and have a look at them. And this is my coding partners repository, GitHub profile, sorry. And his name is Ermias Demsiu. He's known as the normal one over here, and he has 30 repositories so far created. All the information on these cards has been retrieved, fetched from the TV Maze API. So first, me and my partner, we decided to go with the TV Maze app, which has data about TV series and movies. So this is the link to that to that API. And we basically decided to go with the show main information, and we went with this example. And we use this link to fetch the data. And even if we click and open this tab, let me show you. So we have information about movies. So we have ID information and URL, name of the movie, genre, etc., etc. So we have all this information inside this object, and we can fetch that using JavaScript. So let me close that. Okay. So basically, when we need information, so this is dynamically, all this information is showed on the main page. And also, all the information is actually fetched from this TV API. Secondly, we have an involvement API. Let me show you that. This is the documentation for the involvement API. We use this base URL to actually create a key. We need to generate a key using this, uh, and we use that key to send and receive data from this involvement API. And basically, what this involvement API does is that it's responsible for the likes and the comments. So we can click on the likes, and the likes will be updated like this. And also, if we click on the comment section, we can actually write our name. The user can write his name and write a message over here. So he can write a message over here. If we submit that message, so you can see that we have a message over here, and it's also giving us the time at which the message was delivered. And you can close that for now. Okay. So this is how we use the API to basically send and retrieve data. And also we use the API to increase this number over here. If let's say we click over here, we want to filter, let's say. So if we filter it out, so now there are only 2 movies displaying, and it is also movie counter is showing how many movies are there. Okay. So if we click over here, we go back to the default, and only all the movies now can be displayed over here. This is basically a single page application, and we have used JavaScript to do that. Now, what is a single page application? A single page application is one which has only one HTML file, and we don't create more than one HTML file. We don't have to go to another, we don't have to link to another HTML file and load that file. So we only have one HTML file, and this home page is also on that HTML file. And if we click over here, this second window that pops up, it is also on that same page using JavaScript. So we have dynamically inserted all this data into our HTML using JavaScript. So let me show you how I actually did it. So I have these fetch movies and pop-up JavaScript files. So fetch movies is basically in this file, we are creating dynamically in JavaScript, we are creating HTML elements, like we are using dot create element and then adding the image, then the div and h3, and all these elements are being added dynamically using JavaScript. And once we add the tags inside HTML, we also we append them into the folders. So for example, if we look at this div, so this div is we created the div, and then we also gave it a class name, and then we created another div, and finally like we sorry let's go with this one. So we created a div, and we gave it a class name, and we created another h3 heading, and then we append child this h3 heading into this div, like this name icon dot append child movie name. So we can append these information, these elements inside. And then if we want to fetch information from our API, the movie API, what we can do is we can, if we are, let's say, on this h3, what we can say is that we can use its constant movie name dot inner HTML, and in this way we can add the movie dot name. So basically we are using the dot notation method to bring this name from that object that I showed previously. the API. So we are basically bringing this information from the API. Similarly, you can see in other places as well, we have used the same method. And let me show you the pop-up JavaScript as well. Same thing, we use JavaScript to add information into our HTML body. So we created elements and we also used inner HTML to add information from the API. So we added the name, the image, we added summary, we added genre and ratings and etc. etc. So this is how we created a single page application using JavaScript. So let me introduce you to the structure of my code base. So here on the left side, first we have a folder called .github. This is where we have the linters file. After that, we have VS Code where we have our JSON setting file. And then the distribution files, this is the distribution folder, which is automatically created by the Webpack app that we have installed using npm. And after that, these are the node modules. These were also generated by using npm. And these ones I have actually kept them in the .gitignore file because we don't want them on our GitHub repository because they are they take a lot of space and they are not used over there. So we git ignore them. After that, we have the source folder. The source folder is the main folder where we do all of the stuff about our project, all the JavaScript files, HTML file, CSS file, everything is there. So the first folder inside the source folder is the assets, where I have my background image and the logo image that I used in my project. After that, we have this module folder because we have used modular JavaScript. So in the module folder, we have all the JavaScript files, uh, which we are using import export to mainly export. Some files are exported to the other files. Some functions from the files are exported to the index.js file, main JavaScript file. So after that, we also have this main index HTML file, which is responsible for all the structuring of our web app, and style.css, where we have all the styling done for the web app, and JavaScript is used for all the interactive part of our project. And after that, we have this .env file in which we have the key that we generated from the API. This is the key generated from the API. So we have it in the env file so that, and then it is put into the gitignore so that we can encrypt it, we can make it secure. After that, this is for the JavaScript linters, slint rc JSON file, and then we have style lint file for linter for the linter errors. So in the CSS, so all of these files, and then the Babel is to transpile. It's a transpiler that is used to transpile code. Since we also have installed the Jest library to test files. I think I forgot to tell about this folder. Yeah, the test one folder is also there. If I click over there, we have tested two of our functions, the comment counter function and the count movie function. We have tested them inside this test folder, and we have installed Jest library for that. Yeah, and that's it. And this is the README file. We have all the README information over here. And this is the Webpack's configuration file. DOM means document object model. And DOM manipulation means that when you use JavaScript to add, remove, or modify an element in your website. Simple. So now let me, before showing my code, let me quickly show you my website and tell you which part I'm going to show you. So quickly, let's do this. So these are on my home page. I have all these different movie cards. So basically, this is a movie card, and all this information, this image, this movie card, and this image, this headline, this icon, these paragraphs and button, all of these elements were dynamically created using JavaScript. They were created, these elements, and then they were append childed into the main section. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So if you look at this, this is the main section. This is the section. This is an empty HTML section, an element section element that I created inside HTML, and it's empty. I gave it an ID of movie dash list. So now the plan is to have this. So first of all, connect query select this in my JavaScript, this movie dash list, and then I have to create different elements that I need, uh, and then I will append child them into this movie dash list. So if I drop down, you can see that this movie list section has a div first of all. So you can see on my on the left this whole movie card. You can see all these movie cards were created dynamically, and all the data inside this movie card was actually fetched from our movie API. And so after this, if you look into the movie card, you have this image, and then you have, so this is the img tag that we created inside JavaScript, then dynamically, and then in the movie description div, this div was also created inside, obviously inside the JavaScript, and then this div had name icon, likes, div, paragraphs, and etc., buttons. So all these things were created, these elements were created in JavaScript, and then using DOM manipulation, they were append childed into the main section that was in the HTML body. Okay, so let's go to the code now. Quickly go to the code, and I will explain to you. So on line number 45 in my index.html, I have on line number 45, this is a section that I created in HTML, and I named it its ID movie dash list. So now everything inside this section will be created dynamically in JavaScript. So let's go quickly to the index.js. In line number 5 on index.js, I created a constant called movie list, and I used document.get element by ID, uh, and I got the ID movie dash list that I just showed you. So now after doing that, I go to the fetch movies JavaScript file. And here, what I did, I'll start from this bottom and then I'll go up the code. So first of all, I want to show you that that movie list constant that we just created inside the index.js, now we will append child the movie card element that we will create, and we will at the end append child that movie card inside the movie list. So it will be shown in the HTML body like this. So let's move up now. Okay, so here everything starts from here. So basically, we created movie card, and we created a constant movie card, and we said equals to document dot create element div. So whenever we want to create an HTML element inside a JavaScript, we have to write document dot create element and then use whatever the name is. Let's say we want to create a div element, we will write div inside the parentheses and inside the quotations, or we want to create an img element, or maybe an h3 element, or a button element, or whatever element, we will just use document.create element. So this is how I created all these elements. And after I created the element, then I use this constant movie card dot class name. So I created a class name for it. Then I created the class name because I wanted to target this class name later on this in the CSS to stylize it. And then movie card.id equals to movie.id. So basically we are fetching the ID information from our API. So similarly, we created the image element and other elements and so on. And we also dot append child them as well. So we basically create elements, and then we append child them inside the HTML body like this. And finally, at the end, the movie card, the main div, was actually append childed into the movie list main section element, which you saw over here. So basically, NPM stands for Node Package Manager, and NPM is responsible for installing and managing different software packages created by developers around the globe. And so let's go into our project. And I have all the npm dependencies are basically all the software packages dependencies are installed in the package.json file when you install npm uh, or initialize it. Basically, a package.json file is created, and if I go into that package.json file, you can see that different dependencies like Babel, the CSS loader, slint, hint, jest libraries there, webpack software packages there. So different packages are installed inside the .json file. And let me also show you like an example of how you would install a software package with the help of npm. So in this case, I'm showing you just how to get started with jest. So if you want to install jest library, all you have to do is in the terminal you have to write in npm install dash dash save dash dev jest. So this way, same phenomena applies. You want to install any software package, all you have to do is just write the name of that package at the end, and npm install dash dash save dash dev will remain the same for most of them. So this is how you install, and let's move to the next one. So I used this count movie test.js file, and this is where I did my unit testing using the AAA method. AAA method is basically it stands for arrange, act, and assert method. So basically, we arrange the block of code, and then uh, it it should be executed, acted. Basically, when you run that code that you arranged, that is called act, and then assert means that the to be asserted result should be achieved. So assert will tell us if after running the code the required result is achieved or not. So in this code, uh, I am basically in the movie counters, I use this count function. So I'm testing that count function. So first of all, we created the count movie.test.js file, and then we imported the count movie function from this module, and then I wrote describe. So describe, you write describe when you have more than one test to run. Otherwise, you don't use it. If you are only using one unit test, we are using two tests, so we are using describe. So describe and then parentheses. First, it will explain what this test is about, and then we use an arrow function. Inside the arrow function, these two tests are arranged. So the first test, I'm going to explain this first test, and the second test is similar to that one, exactly the same. So pretty much the same. So I'm going to only show you this one. So test. So first we write test, and inside the parentheses, first we write the description of what this test is going to do. So in this case, add an array of length 5 to return movie 5. So then we, after the comma, we create a arrow function. That arrow function has 4 constants. First, we give an array of 5 numbers, and then we create an element, and then we want to assert that the result should be movie 5. So the counter movie counter should have 5 movies, 5 numbers, as in the array. And then in the act section where we have to run the code, so in act we actually use the count movie function that we imported, and inside the parentheses we write the array, this array that has 5 numbers, and then also we write elements. So this element that we created. So now we say expect act. So we expect that this act, when we run this code, this arranged code, when we want to run it, we expect that it should be to be assert that it should be equal to movie 5. So this is how we use unit test AAA method inside here. And also, if I go to the terminal, I can actually write npm test to test this code. So let's see if it passes. Yes, it passed. So basically, in the fetch movies.js file, we basically create two constants. We are basically going to send and receive data from two APIs. The first one is the api.tvmaze.com API, and the second one is the involvement API. So we use their URLs over here, and we create constant URL equals to this, constant URL like equals to this, and then we use these functions. So we created a constant called fetch movies, and we created an arrow function with two parameters, start 0 and end 12, because we want to fetch the first 12 indexes from the TV Maze API. And this function, we use async so that this function acts as a promise, and then try const response equals to await fetch URL. So we are fetching this information from this URL like this, and also the data inside this URL. We are actually using .json method to convert it into a JSON format. And similarly, over here, we are also using the involvement API using const get likes. We are getting likes like using the arrow function without any parameters, using async and try const response equals to await fetch URL like. So we are basically fetching the URL like over here, and also fetching URL in this code, fetch movies. So if I go to our further, if we go down, we can see that after that, we can actually, if we talk about the TV Maze API, we can actually fetch all the different information inside it by using like movie.id. We are actually fetching the ID. Similarly, in this case, we are fetching the dot with the dot notation. We are fetching movie.image.medium. So the image is being fetched, and similarly, movie name and movie icon. In async calls, they are a non-blocking. They have a non-blocking architecture, and in async calls, all the functions or operations can run simultaneously together, and they don't block each other. And on the other hand, if we look at the sync calls, they have a blocking architecture. What does blocking architecture means? That means that if you have like functions on top of each other, so first the first function will execute. After that, the second function will execute. The third function will wait for the second function to execute. So every function has to wait for the function above it to first execute, and then the other one will execute. So this is how async and sync calls differentiate from each other. All of the pull requests that me and my coding partner made were all using git flow method. So if I show you, this is one of the pull requests I created for review. And this is one of my pull requests. I gave it a descriptive pull request name, and also gave it a good descriptive description. If you can see over here, this is the feature branch that will be merged to the dev branch. So basically, if I show you, if I go back to the group capstone, yeah, so as we can see over here, when we created this repo, it had only a master branch. Then from the master branch, we created this dev branch. So then this dev branch, which was basically a feature branch first, we actually created this dev branch from the master branch, and then we actually made it the default branch. So after making it a default branch, all the other feature branches were actually created from this dev branch. All these feature branches were created from the dev branch, and whenever we wanted to get a pull request, dev was the default branch. Always the pull requests were created from the feature branch to the dev branch. So if I go back now, let's go to the pull requests again, and let me open something. So let's say I open one of the pull requests. So you can see that this branch was merged from the dev, from the feature branch to the dev. So this is how we use the git flow method and merge them after the pull request. So okay, so now let me show you one of the review I did for my coding partner. And in the review, I first of all greeted my coding partner, and I used the @ method to tag his GitHub handle. And then I, first of all, encouraged him. Like I said, good job so far. I see you put a lot of effort in this project. So basically, first I encouraged him for the hard work that he had did. And then I said, however, politely, I said, however, there are some issues that you still need to work on and to be able to go to the next level. And then I also highlighted some of the good things that he did, like there were no linter errors, it was descriptive pull request, and there was a good design, and then the required changes, and also using these kind of emoticons, so that we have a human feeling in there. And then uh, check the comments for the review. So this is the inline comment that I created, and basically in the index.html file, from line number 52 to 72, this whole code was basically a comment. It was commented out. So I requested kindly remove comments because they add noise to the code. So basically I told him remove the comment, and also explained why. I told him that it adds the noise to the code, so we should go for a cleaner code. Let me show you one of the questions that I asked from one of my seniors at Microverse. So I was doing the to-do list, and I was facing some issues. So this is the question that I asked from my colleague Ahmed Mohsin. Okay, so in this question, I started off with a polite hello at the start. I said, "Hello, Ahmed." And then I followed that up with a, "I hope you're doing fine." After that, I first gave a background of what I was doing so that he gets a background of which project I'm working on. So I told him I have almost completed my to do list project. And so I told him the background of which project I was doing. And then I said, but I'm struggling with how to add completed and IDs in my code. So I explained to him exactly what issue I was having after that. And then at the end, I followed it up with a polite question. Can you help me out with that? So it was a polite follow up at the end. In high context cultures, people tend to communicate in an indirect way. They give a message in between the lines, and they expect you to understand the message in between the lines. On the other hand, in some countries, there is low context culture where people communicate directly. So, in low context communication, you communicate in a very direct, explicit, direct manner, and you are very specific about what you expect from the other person. So there are less conflicts when you have a low context communication. We use the low context communication method. So let's give me one or two examples here. For example, when we were selecting the background for our project, we were searching for a background on uh, one or two websites. So my partner was searching for a background which was not really relevant to the since we were creating the movie project on movies. So his the backgrounds that he was suggesting were not really related to movies. So I explicitly directly explained to him that, look, brother, we need to find something that is related to movies. Like, for example, we should go for a picture of cinema where there are seats and people are sitting watching movie.